Tonight, in this edition of the Primetime Newscast on EQUINOXE Television, the Constitutional Council rules against 10 petitions filed by candidates and various political parties ahead of the upcoming presidential election in Cameroon. In this edition of the news, we tell you how and why it happened. Also ahead, we talk about the extreme bad state of roads in Mabanda, Bonabere of the Douala-4 municipality. How are local inhabitants coping few days to back to school? Simanjikan Gabriel is going to be telling us more on that in this newscast. Plus, we take you to the Southwest Regional Headquarters of Buea, where KMER returned following the incident which occurred yesterday. Those are our top stories. We shall be right back with the details. Stay with us. Good evening to you, ladies and gentlemen. It is 6 p.m. and you're watching the Primetime Newscast on EQUINOXE Television. Let's begin right over here in the country's economic capital, Douala. Inhabitants of Mabanda of the Douala-4 municipality are urging top administrative authorities to seek solutions to the dilapidating states of the road leading to the government bilingual high school in Mabanda. With school resumption in just few weeks to come, many are disturbed that the nature of the road is going to be a key hindrance to students of the said institution. Simanjikan Gabriel was there. He brought back this report for the news.
For somebody to leave the house and successfully, and before putting on the shoe, the person will be required to trek a very long distance. You can just imagine somebody putting on a tie, a white dress, and then moving while holding the shoe before putting the shoe at a very long distance.
Few days to the start of the new academic year, many of those who ply this stretch of roads heading to government school Mabanda in the Douala-4 municipality are worried.
Has always been a nightmare to all the Mabanda dwellers. I must admit that, especially students of Lycée Mabanda, it has always been very difficult for them to successfully leave their houses and successfully reach in school, especially during the rainy season like the month of August. But not only to students, even pedestrians like us, at times find it very difficult for us to leave the house, put on our shoe and move freely without any problem. One is usually forced to move and trek for a very long distance, remove his shoe and trek for a very long distance before maybe seeking refuge somewhere in order to put on.
Some are forced to hold their slippers in their hands to cross. Those on commercial motorcycles and tricycles find it very difficult to use the road when it rains.
You can see for yourself that there are actually not drainage basins or no drainage patterns, and once the few existing ones are actually full with the household debts deposited by the inhabitants of this area. But then the government has actually abandoned many of us who are here.
Any problem, say moto no dey pass.
Some inhabitants tell us that untold accidents have occurred on the main access road heading to government school Mabanda involving students and other road users. The cry of the entire neighborhood is for the government to intervene urgently before the start of the new academic year fixed for 3rd September 2018.
That is not the only problem facing the academic sector in Cameroon. Back to school at the government primary school Bandung, that is a locality in Bafang, West region of Cameroon, would be a veritable nightmare to students as well as school administrators, as water has covered the entire school campus. The officials have said that the government has to treat the matter as an emergency if they want to ensure a hitch-free back to school 2018-2019. Details with Franklin Mwabe.
The village of Bandung is 21 kilometers from Mumi in Bafang West region of Cameroon. The village looks calm and nice, but this is just during the dry season, because when it rains, this is how the village looks like. Few weeks to the start of the new school year, the situation of government school Bandung is disturbing.
It is terrible here at government school Bandung. It is just 2 weeks to the start of school, but the situation of the establishment is disturbing. The whole school is inside water. If the government doesn't do anything about it, we don't know how back to school will look like in our area.
The school is drowned in water due to heavy rains that fell in the village. If nothing is done concerning this situation, back to school will be a veritable nightmare to the children of Bandung village.
We are faced by a catastrophe in this village. I am calling on the government to come and help, because the people of Bandung have limited facilities to solve this problem of inundation. We are calling on the elite and the government to help to evade this danger, because if it continues, we might not have a proper back to school.
Ironically, students who study in this area are brilliant. They scored 100% in the recent concours d'entrée and sixième and CEP examination of the French subsystem of education, which is equivalent to first school leaving certificate and common entrance examination in the English subsystem of education.
And with regards to the 7th of October presidential election in Cameroon, 10 pre-electoral litigations have been turned down at the Constitutional Council as members met at the Yaoundé Conference Center that was today to examine the 11 petitions deposited. That was last week. A petition calling for the cancellation of the candidacy of the CPDM presidential candidate Paul Biya was simply rejected by members of the Constitutional Council. The petitioners, who are Steve Leopold Njumo and Kim and Hims, according to the Constitutional Council, had baseless and no proof to justify their petitions. The petition of Olivier Billet of Union for Fraternity and Prosperity was also rejected, though he pleaded to pay the 30 million deposit into the public treasury. It should be recalled that he deposited his file at Elections Cameroon without paying the caution fee. He said that he reported at the treasury after 11 p.m. and the treasury was already closed. The other petitions were equally rejected over non-payment of caution fee and non-conformity with the law in force. We of course will be telling you more on that at 8 p.m. and in a subsequent newscast. Meantime, the chairman of the Electoral Board of Elections Cameroon has said that the 7th of October presidential election in Cameroon must take place in the conflict-hit northwest region of Cameroon. Eno Abrams Egbe was speaking during a meeting with election stakeholders in the northwest region of Cameroon with some administrative authorities and traditional authorities as well. The Election Board chair said that the organ in charge of organizing election in the country would put measures in place to ensure that the displaced population in camps in the northwest and the southwest regions of Cameroon take part in the 2018 presidential election in Cameroon. And it was the atmosphere was calm today in Moliko Boya southwest region of the country this Friday, with business and other activities going on uninterrupted. Reports say that 3 persons said to have attacked a bank that was in Moliko yesterday were apprehended last night, but some locals have said that the arrested individuals were not responsible for the attack, in which a gun was seized from a gendarme office, an incident which took place yesterday, Thursday, in Boya. Yesterday, it was an atmosphere of uncertainty after the incident took place. Derek Tato was in Moliko yesterday, Thursday, the 18th, or the Thursday in Moliko Boya. He tells us more in the following report.
At a tap, containers are filled with water but yet abandoned, and some shop owners are closing their business centers. Others had earlier done that. Meters away, another person is seen scanning the environment. It is 11:30 a.m. in Boya, the southwest regional capital, and we are at Moliko neighborhood. This is not how deserted Moliko woke up this Thursday, the 16th day of August 2018. Gunmen, witnesses say 4 in number, stormed a financial institution minute back, firing shot into the air, and it is even alleged that the set unidentified gunmen seized the gun of the security officer who was on duty. The gunshot and the panic forced most business operators here to shut down their business premises. At press time, there was military deployment at the site, though circulation finally resumed, but many have noted that this is not the first time such an incident is happening here in Moliko, the economic hub of the city.
That was the picture of Moliko yesterday, the 16th of August 2018. Calm has returned to the Southwest Regional Headquarters of Buea. Meantime, the Minister of Communication, Issa Shiroma Bakari, has said that the President of the Republic has ordered for a thorough investigation to properly identify perpetrators of extrajudicial killings being attributed to Cameroon's Defense Forces. In a second video that has been going viral on social media, Minister Issa Shiroma Bakari was speaking in a press briefing that was in Yaoundé yesterday. It should be noted that in another video in which women and kids were summarily executed in the far north region of the country, the Minister of Communication, Issa Shiroma Bakari, noted that 7 security forces have been apprehended and are going to be tried with regards to the incident. We come back here to the country's economic capital, Douala. The Douala City Council that is accelerating efforts to raise the city of Douala to the standard of other cities around the world through the Metropolitan Development Corporation. It held its General Assembly today in the city of Douala with subscribers from within and out of the national territory. Babla Jonathan was part of that meeting. He tells us more in this report.
The Douala Metropolitan Development Corporation DMDC will soon begin the underground execution of the billions francs CFA project aimed at developing and modernizing Cameroon's economic capital. Subscribers converged on Bonanjo in a General Assembly Friday to map the way forward to October 2018, when construction works will begin. We subscribed projects that will enable the town of Douala to develop, to be modernized. The projects exist and many studies have already been done, and we need to get the money to realize them. The DMDC is taking off with 5.5 billion francs CFA out of the 10 billion francs CFA target in the short term.
On a fait 54%, ce qui est un taux acceptable.
We hit 54%, and that is an acceptable rate. I said it is a natural adjustment, because if we collected 10 billion francs CFA, there will be more than 5 to 10,000 subscribers, and it will be difficult to organize a General Assembly. So let's start with this format, very representative, because there are subscribers from all the regions of Cameroon and the diaspora, and progressively all the other compatriots will join the train so that we can develop our economic capital.
Entrer dans la danse pour qu'ensemble nous développions notre capital économique.
In the long term, the DMDC intends to raise hundreds of billion francs CFA for what Littoral Governor Samuel Dieudonné Ivaha Dubois qualifies as a new page for the economic and sustainable development of the city of Douala.
D'ici 2025,
by 2025, we will need 900 billion francs CFA for the development that everybody wants for Douala. The Douala City Council and its partners are working towards transforming Douala, today characterized by urban disorder and other social ills, into a city synonymous to Lagos in Nigeria, Johannesburg in South Africa, and why not Paris, New York, London, and others.
And it should be noted after the report there by Babla Jonathan that the said project to raise the standard of the city of Douala is starting below its initial financial target of 10 billion francs CFA. Babla Jonathan talked to a financial expert who is part of the project elaboration and execution team, and in the following report he's going to be explaining why it started below target and its priorities. Details in this report.
The Douala City Council took months to sensitize the public on the importance and credibility of the Douala Metropolitan Development Corporation (DMDC) and the benefits awaiting subscribers who were urged to invest to the tune of 10 billion francs CFA. These efforts could not produce anything more than a little above 50% of the target amount of 10 billion francs CFA. It can be thought that the people are hesitating, but I think it's simply because such an initiative is new. To the best of my knowledge, it is the first of its kind in Cameroon for the public to be called to invest in such a project. So it is normal that people should not quickly do so. The amount collected so far will be used for the execution of priority projects earmarked for the short-term phase. The priority will be on market because the city has a lot of problems with its markets. We will certainly start with the new Dedo market, where we will construct over 1,800 shops. Close to 6 billion francs CFA will be invested into the renovation of the new Dedo market. Other projects that will be executed by the DMDC in the short term and long term include the construction of the Bonamusa, the modern market, the creation of a Douala urbanization agency, the construction of an 8 billion francs CFA leisure park at Valley Beseke, a 15 billion francs CFA international conference center, and the rehabilitation of the Ndokoti roundabout into a secondary service center. The latter will cost 80 billion francs CFA.
And forestry officials have blamed the population of Edea in the Sanaga Maritime Division of the littoral region of Cameroon for the attack on the forest resource threatening government's reforestation project. The villagers are, however, accusing industrialists and craftsmen. Details with Innocent Aze.
Unscrupulous exploitation of the forest resource in Edea, Sanaga Maritime Division of the littoral region, irritates the locals, pushing them to retaliate whenever they have the least chance.
Parce que la forêt est attaquée par les industriels.
Natives say they resist the abusive exploitation because the forest attacked by individuals and indigents for different activities naturally sustains human life.
C'est pour la restaurer.
Knowing the significance of the forest resource, government's reforestation project is being kept alive. But villagers are blamed for never associating themselves to assist the project by combating bushfiring and grazing, which have destroyed the trees.
Les populations sont devenues les premiers ennemis des plans qui ont été mis en place.
They are also blamed for felling down trees for agriculture and other activities.
Elles ont laissé les animaux décimer les arbres.
The first session of the Interministerial Committee that held in Edea, organized by the National Program for Forestry Development and which brought together experts in forestry, saw the adoption of measures which could give way to sustainable development of the forest resource.
Le document qui sera validé devra répondre aux standards internationaux.
Personnel in the Ministry of Forestry and Wildlife and experts in some ministerial departments are expected to work towards boosting this objective.
And that brings us to the end of this edition of the Primetime Newscast on Equinox Television. Viewers, we thank you so much for joining us. Next is the Zone 2. Sejaleng Otto would be yours with his team as from 7 p.m. local time with Equinox Swa. Stay tuned. Don't go away.